79T 2458 Learning Corp. Little Red Riding Hood. Take one.
There we go. 18th time's the charm. That was awkward. Trying to get that start going well. Stupid auto start. That's fine. Welcome. Red morning, guys. It's Saturday. Hope you're enjoying yourselves. I just realized something. I was watching Meatballs yesterday. If you guys haven't heard about that, it's a 1979 Bill Murray camp movie. And I realized my aesthetic is 1979 Bill Murray. All right, let's get the branding out of the way here. Getting in the way of the aesthetics, sir. There we go. Anyways, hope you guys have been doing well. I see you guys in the chat. I see a bunch of you guys there already. We're going to have a fun one today for you. Got a few things to go through. 50-50 is not about fairness. Gaining control of the Treasury. Your validation is not a stay-at-home mom. Her greatest fear is to end up like her mother. Noah's the most powerful world, and your manosphere guru is an idiot because we couldn't have this thing without taking a giant dump on others. Anyways, let me grab these and take them off the screen so that way we can keep track. As always, if you want to interrupt me while I'm on my flow, throw in a super chat. I'll make sure to address it and get to it. You guys should have fun. Yeah, it was a different time, man. Like, back to the movie. Back to Meatballs. It was the weirdest thing. So I'm watching it, and the first thing my girl noticed is, like, at the beginning, they're getting a little handsy with some of the other camp counselors, and she's like, oh, it's a little bit grapey, isn't it? And I'm like, yeah. What are you going to do? But it was just interesting, the things that you just don't see anymore. Like, case in point, the main character is, like, befriending a 12-year-old kid and, you know, teaching him to get along and have friends and run marathon and win stuff. And it's like, nowadays you put that stuff in there, people start making Epstein references. I'm like, eesh. The counselors are all fooling around, having sex. They thought as a prank, they'd like pants the fat guy. I'm like, good stuff. You just don't get that anymore. Yeah, Meatballs, not Spaceballs. Funny fact, though, or fun fact, is that I mistook a lot of Porky's and Porky's Revenge for Meatballs, and I got a lot of things in the two mixed up. So I've got to go back on a Camp 80s marathon. We'll have to see. Yeah, attention all counselors. It's now 9:30 a.m. and I've got The Wedding today. Any good openers? There's just observation openers, man. They're the best. How many fat obese people in 70s movies? There was one, and that was like the gimmick. The gimmick was that he was a fat guy, and they needed him at the end to win the hot dog eating contest against the big man from the rival camp. Yeah. The kids are brats. The food is hideous. Oh wow, you guys actually remember that one? And yeah, I remember Lard Ass from Stand By Me. See, you guys remembering all these things. It was such a different time and place. I don't know. It's interesting because a lot of the pranks, like I remember Police Academy. Used to watch that, and I was like, at the beginning, I remember Mahoney was always the guy doing pranks on the commandant and that. But then I watched the first Police Academy, and the only prank he did was putting shoe polish on the inside of a megaphone. Somebody screaming into it. He had a little black circle around his face. I'm like, dude, that's pretty tame. Like, Home Alone really changed the game on what you have to do to prank people on movies, you know? Sahu, answer that one. Depends. If you're trying to be a normal functional person, no. If you're trying to run a multi-level marketing scam, then yes. Any tips to dealing with fear of approaching? Oh, geez, you're going obvious here. Okay, look, the fear of approaching one is an old as sin concern guys have, because it's like a fear of rejection. And I guess I could go, you know what? Let's do this proper. We're going to give it a timestamp. We're going to go in. All right. Approach anxiety. So this was the question. Is there any way we can handle approach anxiety? And the easy answer is just to say you got to do it till you're desensitized to it. But as an answer, while that may be true, not necessarily helpful. So here's the helpful thing. The reason you have approach anxiety, for the most part, is from failed parenting strategies, not getting this aversion out of your system early. What does he mean by that? It's not just me. I think that's something I need to explain to you guys. Like, most of this stuff isn't just me pontificating. This is me going back, researching, talking to a bunch of different guys, 10 years of red pill guys doing their own experiences. So this is more of a synthesis of all that. Anyway, failed parenting strategy, for example, was back in the cottage industry days. Most men were agricultural and they were always at home and they helped raise the kids. Then the Industrial Revolution happened. Guys started leaving the house. They were gone for 16 hours a day. And nowadays, with divorce, all this kind of thing, the gist of it is we've been leaning towards a feminine-centric parenting model. And the problem with that is a male-centric parenting model involves rules. You know, do this, or you're in trouble. You can be a horrific parent. You can be like a tiger mom. You beat your kids, but it's always consistent, right? And I think that's what people misunderstand. They see kids getting, spanked, or they see kids getting yelled at, and they think that's automatically bad. What's bad is that the kids have no framework for it. So yeah, if I know, and Glass Psychiatrist had a great piece on this, if I know if I don't get an A in math class, my dad's going to give me a spanking. Like, that spanking hurts and it sucks, but it's consistent, the kid knows it, and he knows what he can do to counteract it. On the other hand, if mom is having a rough day at work, she's really stressed out, starts yelling at the kids, but they don't know from one day or the other if it's going to be a good day or a bad day, Bones Day or no Bones Day if you guys are TikTokers, then there is an uncertainty about it. And so what it does is it teaches the kids that there is no rules. The rule is whoever is in the position of power has the rules. And as a kid, you tend to be afraid of abandonment. It's an instinctual thing because as a kid you're useless. And so if your parents run off, go get some smokes, never come back, you're going to starve in the woods. So through these two mechanisms, the absence of father from the home, the female parenting strategies, and that instinctual need for, safety, you end up with a validation strategy. I need the girl to like me. If the girl doesn't like me, she's going to abandon me, and then it's bad. It's just an instinctual thing. Limbic brain. Don't think much of it. You're like 2 years old. Who cares? 3 years old, 4 years old. But then, 5 years old, you go to school. You get female teachers. They do the same thing there. 6 years old, 7 years old. And what happens is your frontal lobe builds up a sophisticated post hoc rationalization for all these instinctive needs to get validation from your mom and her failed parenting strategies, to the point that some guys make it to 20 years old and they've never had a male authority figure, and they never have that rules-based parenting or authority model. As long as you're playing by the rules, like the consequences are consistent, that kind of thing, right? And so now that's just gone. And so this all culminates in your question of, how do I get rid of approach anxiety? Well, you got to basically unshed 20 years of failed parenting. But here's the thing. That's why just approach until you're numb to it is fine. In fact, I argue, approach with the expectation you're going to get shot down. Absolutely. 100%, not a chance you're getting anywhere with this. She will not like you at the end, and you're okay with that because your goal isn't to sleep with her or to get her to like you. Your goal is to get good at approaching. And those aren't the same thing. Once you separate them, it makes good sense. So you approach, and you're like, okay, my goal here, I'm going to keep her talking for 60 seconds, a minute of talk. And if you get that, that's great. And if you don't get that, you can find out why. What happened? Well, I walked up and I just didn't know what to say and I got dumbfounded. It's like, all right, so here's like a question, like you get an opinion opener. Hey, opinion for you, it's the old mystery one. It doesn't really matter. It's which one you use. It's his example was, my buddy and I are having a bet. Does it consider cheating if it's like a different area code? He says no, I say yes. That gives you a question. It has nothing to do with anything. There's like a way to construct them to be fairly good and engaging, but that's not the point of this. The point of this is just learning not to get anxious when you approach. Roosh had the other one where he suggests observations. So find something that's noteworthy about the other person, make a comment about it. If they have an iPhone, is that the newest iPhone? I was trying to get one and I was worried that, some feature was missing or whatever, or the 3.5 mil jack is gone. And then they'll start talking about that. And then you slowly move on from there. There's 2 books you can read on this. There's the Mystery Method, and then there's Day Bang by Roosh. They talk about openers. But then the point is, it doesn't matter if she shoots you down. It doesn't matter if she doesn't want to sleep with you or whatever. You're just working on just practice. And yeah, these are canned lines and they're canned openers. I get it. But if you don't know what you're doing and you're afraid of what you're doing, you don't rise to your expectations. You lower to your training. So this is just training. Once you get down to like, okay, I can talk to a person and get them to respond to me positively. I can have a 1-minute conversation. Let's try a 5-minute conversation. Let's try a 10-minute conversation. Let's try seeing if I can get some indicators of interest. Can I get her to be all flirty with me? Can you do this? And that's the point, is that by systemizing the process of just approaching, you can actually break it down into its constituent parts. You can work on the constituent parts. And most importantly, you're essentially bypassing that limbic brain need to have the girl like you and to be afraid of being rejected. Does that answer your question? Hope it answers your question. Yeah, and Bishop's got a good point here about it being fun. Here's the thing. So if it's approaching and you're getting anxious, of course you're going to get scared about it. It's not going to be fun. You're not going to do it. But it's almost like gamification. Once you turn it into a process, all right, I want to see if I can get an opinion open at work. I haven't gotten it to work yet. I'm going to try my best. It's like, then it's more like a video game. It's like, oh, dude, I got that one to work. It actually gets to the point, and most guys will say this after they've done, like, pickup for any length of time, is that they'll try to see how far can I push this before getting blown out. Their goal is actually to get blown out, to have a girl throw a drink in their face or something like that, right? And then they find out the Overton window of acceptable conversation starters is so much wider. Like, it's amazing what you can do and get away with, as long as you're engaging, as long as you're interesting, as long as you walk in there with a little bit of confidence, and that all comes with practice. So that should answer your question there. But I am unfortunately not the pickup guy. I did it for a brief period in my 20s when I was in the military, because it was really hard to date with a 189-day-a-year sailing schedule where you're gone for half the year, and of that half of the year you have maybe a week off. Yeah, Chesty's got a good point. Tate's a good example of irrational self-confidence. Yeah. It may seem stupid, but it does work. It does work on the gullible, and girls are gullible. Yeah, it was about relationships, and it was funny because I'm just talking with a girl, as we happen to do from time to time. If you guys don't know, 13 years, common law married. Red Pill came in about halfway through, ran into some problems. Problems went away, did the thing. You know the spiel. This is the take a penny, leave a penny jar. And we were talking about finances, because it had come up a bit in Patreon where guys, women were outspending them. Like, I can't earn enough money. She keeps spending it all. And I think earlier on in my relationship, I had it too. I have 3 Italian Greyhounds and a brand new Lexus, because it was the 4 times in my life I didn't say no. And, we're past that now financially. But at the time, it was a bit of a hardship. And over 60, stupid loner. Probably the oldest, smartest, one of my favorite married red-pilled guys, had a great post about gaining control of the Treasury. And I wonder, you know what? I'm going to, oops. There it is. Pull it up while we're doing it here. It was a great post because he was a finance guy. He made decent money, like good money. And his wife was spending him on a house at home, sneaking off credit cards, stuff like that. And so part of his plan, his male action plan at the time, which, at the time it didn't really have a name, was to get control of it. And for him, it was just something, it was like very simple steps. Talk to all the creditors, say, do not accept any new purchases on anything. I'll continue to pay these things down. Anytime and he would change his mailbox, so anytime something came into it, it was automatically forwarded to a different address. So if his wife tried to sneak him in behind him, he could get it. He would cancel any new credit that came in. He told her that the plan, stop spending money, confiscated her cards and that stuff, made her very mad, made her cry, all this kind of stuff. And then she tried to go behind, and they eventually divorced. But the point was, he managed to get a hold of his finances, get control of it. And yeah, he had to be basically a benevolent dictator, but it worked. And then she's showing me a TikTok. She's like, you should use this TikTok on your channel. And I took a look at it. And it's one of those TikToks that's so irritating. You almost think somebody's showing it to you to pick a fight. And it was this mid, like a 6 out of 10. I don't know, half Asian, something like that. I'm not sure. She was cute, but not hot. Definitely not cute enough for her attitude. Talking about how 50-50 means the guy's not into you. Splitting the bills 50-50 means he doesn't love you. If he's not paying for everything, then he's just wasting your time, because it's never 50-50. You sacrifice more. Anyways, I'm summing up about 5 minutes of ramble. 5 minutes of ramble. And I thought, this is a topic we haven't covered a lot in the Married Red Pill. So 50-50 is not about fairness. 50-50 is never about fairness. 50-50 is both a teaching tool, a boundary enforcement, and legal protection for you. I know everybody's talking about, oh, the divorce rate, but no, I don't want to lose half my assets. I'm like, dude, you can't name your assets. You just call them assets. No offense, but your girl doesn't want half of your Xbox collection. Don't talk to me. You're renting right now. You don't even own real estate. Come on. 50-50 assets. Before, though.
Name a bigger red flag than a white guy with a podcast. I'll wait.
I am not impressed. I will have you know, I'm like 80% white. The podcast is goddamn good, and I don't want you anyway. You got random Iroquois art and not art on your walls. You're not my type, sir. Or madam. I don't know. You're allowed to say any more? Those always make me laugh. Okay. So what's he talking about with the 50-50? It's got a few things to it. It's a training tool. For example, let's say you get married. You got a girl that's got an MRS job, one of those holding pattern jobs, like hairdresser or bank teller, one of those ones that's basically here until they get knocked up from some good man and they could be like, well, I should leave this job. It's not even paying much more than minimum wage anyway. And you start buying, you're like, oh, we need to get a house, this, we need to get a car, this, or we need to get this, whatever it is you need to acquire for your nesting. The problem is girls start having expectations. They're like, dude, we should really upgrade this. It's always like, I got a great idea on what we need, and it involves you making more money and buying bigger shit. And a lot of guys are like, you know what? I love my girl. She does great. She's the mother of my children, all this kind of shit. Why wouldn't I want to take care of her? And the idea of like pleasing her because she's nice to you seems it's like, well, why wouldn't you, right? Of course not. Here's the problem with that. Keeping up with the Joneses is a bitch. A bitch. You have all of her frenemies and all of your neighbors buying new shit to try and impress everybody else with shit that they can't afford to impress people that they don't care. And it's just the entire marketing thing. Like Verizon, or is it MasterCard? MasterCard and Visa. They often put out annual reports. They do it every year, in fact, about spending. Turns out women, as a disposable income demographic, are a $14 trillion a year industry. Men are like 3, maybe 4. So it's not even a question. And that's why mass marketing always looks like, feminine imperative stuff. It's because women spend all the money. They don't earn all the money. They earn less than half the money. It's like, what do they earn? 75 cents on the dollar? But they spend it all. So that shows you right there. You saying that, hey, babe, I'll handle this, is essentially putting marketing in the role of influencing your girl to buy everything and for you to pay for it, to keep you working. It's actually a pretty good grift. I should say it's a graft at this point, not even a grift. If she says, first of all, abort mission. Fair enough, Torch. Fair enough. Here's the thing, though. A lot of you, and the first thing that manosphere guys take is like, oh, these bitches, can you believe this 304 shit? And you're like, slow down, man. This is no different than in the 80s when the kids would watch cartoons and each cartoon was an advertisement for a toy. And then they go to the store and they nag their parents for a toy and they have a temper tantrum. There's a reason that marketing is billions of dollars a year as an industry. It's because it works. And as much as you want to say, you just want to find yourself a good woman. No woman's going to be able to handle fiscal responsibility when there is trillions of dollars spent on making her not so. You basically have to get her to get off of social media, don't ever watch TV, don't have any friends, don't live in an area with people who are status conscious, and what you're basically asking there is for her to turn into a fucking Luddite. Now, if you want to go be Amish, fill your boots. From what I understand, though, there's some Amish people on TikTok right now, so it's gone. So yeah, 50-50 is not about fairness. 50-50 is a way for the both of you to understand finance. Now, if you can pay for something, she can pay for something. If she can pay for half of something, you can pay for half of something. If she can't afford something, but you could, then you guys are spending above your means. And I get it. You want to be good to your woman because she's good to you. But at the same time, here's the thing. How many times have we had examples where guys end up losing jobs through no fault of their own? If you don't believe me, ask anybody working in construction or real estate in 2008. So you get that slow lifestyle creep. You get the guy who wants to do the right thing by paying for everything. And then you get an event that's outside of your control. Do you know what happens? She fucking leaves you, dude. She fucking was the greatest wife ever. You guys loved each other. Everything was great. All of a sudden, George Bush gave a bunch of people some money to sell some real estate. BlackRock, was it BlackRock or who are the ones that did like the Abu Ghraib camp? Is it BlackRock or is it Blackwater? I don't know. One of them's the real estate guy and one of them's the mercenary group. I'm talking about the mercenary group. Regardless, through no fault of your own, by trying to do the right thing for a girl that you know is top quality and as good as things can get, you end up in that exact same horrible situation as the idiot who made bad life choices and ended up marrying some hoe. Blackwater, thank you very much. And there's nothing you can do about it. So yeah, this 50-50 split is great because look, I would honestly go one further. If you can't afford it yourself and then split it 50-50, but this isn't about me, this is about the red pill. The 50-50 split allows you to spend within your means on a very good system. And if your girl wants more, well, then she can earn more. Well, no woman of mine should have to work. Tell that to your dad from 2008, man. Oh, you can't because he self-deleted. Fair enough. Look, I'm not here to tell you it's what should be. I'm here to tell you what is. The beauty of this thing is it keeps things within your means. It keeps your girl with some kind of goal in mind, and it teaches her your financial boundaries. And you know what's great about this, the 50-50 split? Let's say some emergency happens. As a guy, if you're earning more money than the 50-50 would need, what do you do with that? You probably leave it aside. You probably have yourself a war chest. In fact, that's another standard red pill thing. Try to save, at some point, get yourself 2 years of expenses covered. Everything you need, food, water, shelter for 2 years. Put that aside in a nest egg. That is there. And once you have that, you no longer put up with shit at work. 'Cause you're like, I can just leave. I got 2 years. I can take my time finding a new job. There's no stress. You don't have to sign up for a job you don't want. You can wait for the one you do. You can take a sabbatical if you want. You can do whatever you want to. In a divorce, legal fees are covered. I got a 2-year nest egg. When an emergency happens, some 2008 crisis happens, you guys have to start, we got to tighten our belts here. The housing market is dead. I got a 2-year nest egg. We're fine. And while on the surface it looks like you're being misogynistic, you're not treating your wife well, I guarantee you when a crisis happens, you guys end up still together because you're still seen as that leader there. You plan for things. You're there for the worst case scenario. And if you're alive for any length of time, you're going to hit a crisis at one point in your life. I don't think there's a single generation who hasn't hit one. So again, this all is actually similar to approach anxiety too. Because the whole reason guys don't do this is a fear of making their woman mad or angry, or she won't like me. She cries, she gets mad, she yells, she shames me. She says I'm not a real man if I can't buy her those Louboutins, You got to plow through all that shit. She's going to cry, and you're okay with it because you already know. As soon as that experience comes up, that this all comes in handy, none of this shit's going to matter, and nobody's going to remember any of it, and you're going to be the one guy, hey, all my girls are getting divorced, it's crazy, and why can't they be happy like us? Like, I don't know, babe. Maybe it was the extra 500 square footage they had to have. So yeah, 50-50 is not about fairness. It's about a fiduciary training for both of you. But again, you can't let girls stay in charge. It's not their fault. I guess it's nobody's fault, really. Again, that's the worst part about this, is that it's nobody at fault. It's just this is the way things are geared towards going. It's emergent strategy is what they call it. If you guys don't know, an emergent strategy is you take a bunch of, individuals and you have them do things in their best interest. And it just so happens most people's best interests align certain ways. What's good for me is same thing for good for my neighbor and good for that guy, but not good for these people. And if you put enough people together, everybody following their individual strategy starts to look like a conspiracy. And that's emergent strategy. So how funny is that? Every time you guys think you want to blame the lizard people, it's not the lizard people. It's just a bunch of bunch of assholes that want to do their own thing. And that's fine. Because you already planned. 50-50. It's not about fairness. I don't really care. I kind of feel bad for you guys, though. I just realized, too, when we're doing this, so, normally I've been watching a few of the other podcasts that men and women have, and it's always dumb shit. It's like, hey, what do you think about the hypergamy? It's like, oh, I want to know, what about this? Nobody gives you, strategies. Nobody gives you, underlying issues to deal with. Nobody gives you anything. It's always surface level shit. So I do appreciate you guys sticking with the channel and actually learning from some of the other guys. Because like I said, and this is something new, because there's a bunch of you guys that came here from Ali's stream, which, that's a comment section. It's a comment section and a half, man. Gotta tell you. I haven't been mad at YouTube ever, but that was about as close as I've ever gotten. Listening to those goofballs. Go to the gym, lose weight, be happy, learn a new joke, lift moods, be cool, have friends. See, that's basic bitch stuff. We're past that in here, man. Like, I'm talking about shit when you guys have things to lose. I'm just here for the colorful shirts. Thank you very much, sir. Where was I going with this one? Oh, yes, the Treasury. So 50-50's never been about fairness. And remember, this is another thing. When you hear women bitching online about something, and all men are this and all men are that, there's two things you can take from it. One, her date the night before, or the thing her boyfriend did the night before, was so horrible that she has to project it onto society writ large. And two, it's always single chicks bitching about how good men don't exist anymore. If they could find one, they'd have one. What's that saying? If he wanted to, he would. Well, for her, if she could find one, she'd have one. If she could earn one, she'd have one. But again, you can't let them get to you. Just remember, if anything, those are like cries for help. Not so much opinions or observations. Marc Martin, US $5 super chat. No, sir, I will not talk about the cuck article. Hey, Ryan, your man, Cobra Tate, does not believe in 50-50. He is full-time provision all the way. You know what? I'm not going to disagree with him here. And first off, he's not my man. Secondly, I love how there's twins, two of them, but everybody just calls them one person. That just makes me chuckle. If you've earned enough where you can afford this, Nick, you can be the sole provisioner. That's great. And 2008 crisis can happen and you still have money. Get divorced, lose everything. Like, Bill Gates can divorce and lose half his shit. Zuckerberg can lose half his shit. Who's the Bezos? He can do that too. In fact, they did. That's great. And if you want me to tell you, hey, dude, as a multimillionaire, you can do this. So the goal is just to earn a bunch of millions. More money, 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 money. Fucking, you're on the wrong channel. I'm here to talk about normal people with normal lives. And I don't care. It's great to aspire to be the richest man on earth, but just look at the numbers. Out of all the people in, let's say, just North America right now, most people are middle class. The average person, 50,000, something like that. We're not worried about what could be. Not everybody is going to be a millionaire. And if you are a millionaire, you don't need these strategies. You can ignore them. That's fine. Having said that, I've noticed a lot of millionaires in the process of making all their money have alienated themselves and their relationships so much, they were basically just earning with the 50% tax surcharge on the top of it. So whatever. So yeah, you're not Tate. I'm not Tate, thank God. None of us are Tate. Tates aren't even Tate. That's all an act. So if you want to go on to that strategy, fill your boots. If you want to hear him espouse his values, and I have a hard time accepting somebody's moral values when they're like, I don't know, a cam pimp, but you do you. This is for the average guy. This is for you. This is for the guy that's watching this right now. This is for the guy that doesn't have a Bugatti in his fucking basement. So yeah, I don't care what he says. In fact, he says everything. He says everything and nothing at all. So if you want to follow that advice, fill your boots. Now I know, Mark, you've been on the channel a while. You just want to see me rant about him, which is fine. There. You feel better? I feel better. So we're going to go into taking... Actually, we know we got 30 minutes, so we're ahead of schedule. Gaining control of the Treasury. So we've got a minute here to rant about this some more. Never going to take a guy seriously. It says get arrested in his book. You know what? I can't help but think he steals a lot of my content and then adjusts it for like autism. Because I think it's in my book, and I know I've talked about it before, where in the military, one of the goals that you have is you're supposed to get into trouble, but not too much trouble. Because then the CO learns your name, which helps you in advanced promotions, but it's not so much trouble that it has career implications. So, but then I guess if you take that and add some tism onto it, you just add get arrested. And then here, okay, last one, then we're going to go on a thing. I watched a XQC thing, and he's a better role model than... That's not really... I don't think that's really an own one way or the other. Compared to some weesh Twitch streamer, it's like, is that how low we've come? If you're not like a thug who's arrested for human trafficking, it's either that or you're some weesh color-haired guy that's with Ethan Klein on the H. Like, I'm not even playing that game, man. We're gonna have it. I'm going to fully tell you touch grass on this moment. But anyways, enough of that. I really don't care to talk about it anymore. We got more important things. So gaining control of the Treasury. Most guys have girls that spend too much money. They do. Even if you split everything 50-50, she'll spend too much of her money. And unfortunately, there's not many ways around this. I'll go back in the article here. I like his introduction to it too. So this is from, I guess his name was Fire Tempered by the end of it, but this is how I took control of my financial life many years ago. If it helps you get control of yours, great. If you find my stuff distasteful, fuck you in advance. Love it. So about 5 years before the end of his first marriage, 30 years ago, I started having trouble paying all the bills. Credit card balances were climbing fast, and the savings accounts were declining. And digging through my finances, I found my now ex-wife was spending a lot of money. Among other things, she bought expensive gifts for the kids, and others that I wasn't aware of. Substantial sums were for drug and alcohol items. Oh yes, women are the drinkers now. The Irish abusive father meme is over. It's girls now. So, everybody, he talked about the strategy straight off, and a lot of guys were like, why didn't you just communicate more? So we added a thing. Okay, here. I tried to discuss the finances with my wife and find ways to get things under control. While she agreed to improve, her actions were just more of the same. It became clear that she was never going to help. This would never get better unless I did it. There's the other thing. In fact, this is almost like a great point aside from anything else we're talking here. Communication is fucking garbage. It doesn't help anybody. It's 100% useless. Communication, whoever started this as a meme needs to get a donkey punch in the scrotum. Seriously. Talking to girls about relationship problems, the ones that they're causing, alcohol problems, spending problems, cheating on you problems, communication gets nothing because she will say what you want to hear, and then she will continue to do what she wants to do. And then the more you put up with it, the more you become an enabler. Once you start realizing that all this thoughterry is no different than a drug addiction, everything starts to make more sense. And here's the thing. This is why boundaries are so much more important than vetting, than by finding a good, strong, wholesome woman, blah, blah, blah. Look, I don't care where you find them. These things will happen to most people at one point or another. The reason that they don't get worse is usually because of a strong man who's willing to say no and have boundaries. And the girl thinks it's more important to keep that strong, boundary-enforcing man around than it is to continue on whatever path she's going. It's kind of the problem with modern thoughterry, is that there's no father figure or no husband figure to say no. And so when a girl has no restrictions on her behavior, yeah, she can act bad. But guys do it too. Well, I'm not talking about guys. Go watch Ali's podcast. Go watch Torsha's podcast. They will tell you about how horrible men can be. That's outside of my scope here. And if you're not fucking men, who cares? So here's the thing. My goal was total control of everything financial. So here's my steps. 1. Make a list of all income items, their source, and their ownership. Make a list of all assets, house, banking, save accounts, CDs, etc., the ownership. Make a list of all debts and the ownership of the debt. Understand the rules of ownership that affect assets and liabilities you want to control. I should add to that one here. Now, I'm not a financial expert, but I'm somewhat literate. When he's talking about rules of ownership that affect the assets and liabilities, the kind of things he's getting at here is, for example, in many jurisdictions, things that you own before the marriage are considered your assets. Things that you own during the marriage are considered communal assets. So when it comes to paying off debt, yeah, don't use your assets, use the communal assets. Sometimes when a girl brings up debt, it's her debt and your debt. Sometimes when she brings up debt, it's your debt as a group. That's what he's meaning here. Understand the rules of ownership. Simple rule is that any asset that is in your name only is controlled by you. Additionally, joint assets not totally owned by you are under your control. For example, you can empty a joint bank account without your spouse's signature. The rules for debt are similar. If a credit card is her name only, which is fairly rare, you can't do anything with it. However, if it's your card or debt she has use of, not joint, or a joint card, all of these cases you can close the account or close it to new charges. Remember to check for home equity lines of credit, as these often lie dormant. If you have an employer retirement plan, like a 401k, Roth IRA, or whatever, spousal approval is required if you withdraw or borrow from the plan. If you're trying to withdraw funds during a divorce, you still need her signature. Guys have had to pay ransom to their soon-be ex to get their own money. In the military, this was a case of pensions. Turns out in a divorce, a lot of guys ended up giving half of their pensions to their ex-wives. And so, yeah, just understanding the risks involved. Now, the reason this is all important is because you need to know what the worst case scenario is, right? Well, if I do all this stuff, she's going to leave me. Yeah, she might. She might. But here's the thing. Once you know what it's going to cost you, what could she possibly do? What accounts can she drain out? I got stories of that too. Guys going out to sail. They go deployment. They come home. Their bank accounts are empty. The girl went and spent it all on the thing and then decide to divorce. They lose deployment. And for a lot of guys, you'll come home with like $100,000 after a deployment of just savings because you don't spend any money. You don't pay income tax. The girl went and spent it off. And because it's a joint account, there's nothing you can do about it. So let's remember that. Step 2, open a P.O. box. You're going to use this address for every new account you set up. Just don't use a private personal mailbox like FedEx. It's harder to forward mail to and from this type of box. Apply for a new card in only your name. Open a new checking account in your name only and order checks for it. He says this is important because many things you can't do with starter checks. I'm in Canada. This is a little antiquated, but in the States, you guys are cavemen when it comes to financial stools, so whatever. Get a brokerage account in your name. Prepare letters to every debt you have authority over. The letter should say something to the effect of, turn off all new purchases immediately, and that you're continuing to pay the balances. Prepare the same letter to the bank or any other bank loans or equity lines or credit on real estate. Essentially, everybody you're saying, I am not buying any more stuff with your credit. Keep the account running. I will continue to pay it off as per normal. Tell your wife there was a breach on your checking account and that she needs to get her paycheck sent to a new account the bank is setting up for you. If she has somehow found out it was not a joint account, tell her that the bank wanted to get the account set up ASAP and they're going to add her later. Stop all automatic payments to and from the old joint checking account and move them to the new checking account, and then change your paychecks to the new account. Do you see the point here, though? Is that you're systematically taking your finances and putting yourself in ownership of them because she seriously cannot be in charge of it. You sometimes have to lie a little bit. That's fine. But here, your goal is to win. Your goal is not to be fair. Don't let your side bitches Venmo you money directly. Yeah, I couldn't argue with that. So next, go to the bank, close the household joint accounts, deposit the proceeds in the new account, close all joint savings and joint CDs, and reopen them in your name. Voice is killing me this morning. And close all the joint brokerage. So step 4, mail the letters to the credit cards, bank debts, credit agencies via certified mail, and have the post forward all mail of the home address to your new P.O. box. That is important. Because when he talks, and he'll talk about it here, so but like just the gist of it is, his wife tried like sneaking some debt in some new areas, and it automatically gets forwarded there, so she can't take the mail and hide it from him. And like I said, it's just like you're dealing with a drug dealer or a drug user. They're going to hide their addiction from you because they don't want you mad at them. You don't want it hidden from you. You don't want to feel better. You want to get your finances in control. And then he did a reveal at step 5, grabbed everybody together, the wife and the kids, basically. And here's the communication part. We're spending more than what's coming in. I have no intention of working till I'm 90 when I make plenty of money as is. Oh yeah, he's 6 figures. He's actually, I think he was like $250,000 a year here. So this is another reason why I think that Tate advice of being the big provisioner and making all the money doesn't, because like, dude, whatever you make, your girl can easily spend it. There is industries designed to siphon as much of that as possible. So I don't think you can out-earn a spendthrift. So as a result, I'm taking charge of our finances and I expect complete cooperation. I have closed all of our accounts. I've closed all the household stuff and all the remaining stuff is in my name. You can't access any of them. I will give you guys cash for household expenses, gas, and groceries. He said like $300 for now, but the numbers don't matter. They're your numbers to make. Keep the receipts, and I'm going to use those receipts to replenish the fund weekly. We can review this each week. If I did too low, we can add more. If I did too high, we'll do it down, whatever. When additional stuff's needed, I'll give additional cash as needed. You know, for example, if you need clothing for the kids, here's an extra $500, whatever. I must see the purchases and receipts. Make no mistake, extravagant items or items that I do not approve of will be returned immediately. And here's the thing that amazed him after all this. One of the things that amazed me was that there was still 3 more charge accounts that he didn't even know about. The wife managed to open up 2 new ones in the first week. Because of the forwarding of the mail to the P.O. box, he got to see the statements first off and close them. See what I mean, though? Well, that was kind of sneaky. Why would you do that? Well, that's why he did it. He did it because it saved his ass. Another thing he learned was how much he was abusing drugs and alcohol, which is funny. When they got together, she was such a wholesome Christian girl. It was amazing the level of it. He went to the 3 closest liquor stores and found out that she had 2 in-house charge accounts and closed them. After it was all tallied, the credit cards exceeded a $100,000 balance. The home equity line of credit was maxed out. In short order, I had plenty of cash on hand. I paid off the credit cards in just about a year. Remember that, too. He had $100,000 of disposable income every year. So how much money do you think he was earning on top of that? Because I guarantee he was not living in a little shack down in the woods. He had an expensive house. He had an expensive car. They had a very expensive life. And still, just from getting his wife and telling her no and ensuring that she abided by no, $100,000 of extra income in 12 months. Think about that. One of the upsides was getting the kids to model their new clothes and show off all the new stuff they got. It was a pleasant activity that we all started to look forward to. Looking back, it was actually enjoyable. Highlights what a shitty atmosphere it was for all of us back then. You know, as long as your kids are paying attention, I guess, right? And so here's his iron rules. These are the fire-tempered iron rules, like similar to the Rollo Tomassi iron rules. Avoid joint assets, joint liabilities, and joint agreements. No leases, no business ownerships, no debt. Any asset that's a joint is a gift to her, as she has the ability to take it all legally. Any debt that is joint is a gift to her because if she refuses to pay, you are legally obliged to pay it. Remember that. This is not about 50-50 is not about fairness. 50-50 means it's hers because she can take it and there's nothing you can do about it and you have to pay for it and there's nothing you can do about it. But it's the woman I love and she would never do that. Every guy who's ever had her do that at some point said she would never do that. And maybe yours won't do that, but is it worth taking the chance? Back to the Tate that I didn't want to talk about. What do you think of the odds that one of his kidnapped cam girls, if they have access to one of those accounts, won't clean that out one day and abscond from their cam whoring life to make themselves a better life? Good luck to you, sir. I hope you're smarter about it than they are vindictive. See, Negative Bips too, he has a thing in the chat here where he's saying, I see a lot of builders put a majority ownership in the wife's name. Women-owned businesses get first bid on jobs, which is true. Tax-wise, it can work out. Business-wise, it can work out. But, again, I've seen situations where this kind of thing happened, and then as soon as things got rough, the wife just took the business. It's my business now. You're out of here. And you have no legal ramifications, like no recompense, no grievance process, nothing. It's just, you're out. You're out and she's in. He also adds, co-signing is much worse than a joint liability. Co-signing on debt offers you 100% exposure to the debt, and unlike a joint debt, offers you absolutely no ownership rights. The trap that so many miss when you co-sign certain types of student loan applications for your kids, for example. And so here's the aftermath of this. He's like, all right, today I'm in my 60s and I'm retired from actively seeking income. I sold all my businesses, my net worth is several million, and I have zero debt. Never in this second marriage was there any question about who was in charge of the finances or who made the financial decisions. I consult with her, but I always decide. There is only one joint bank account, and I work under the assumption that it's a gift to her. The only other joint asset is the paid-for house, and I assume it's a gift to her. For many years, she paid the bills, but this was more of a bookkeeper function than actually making decisions. I always checked to see what she was doing. Now, my frame, when it comes to finances, is, and always will be, absolute total control. The adds here, I want you to realize this is important. This whole situation, I was coming from behind here because of my own failures to lead. My failures were, and I love this part, because a lot of guys are like, that bitch is such a bitch, such a hoe, such a 304. It's like, look, dude, this is why Red Pill differs from all this other shit. Because you have to look deep inside yourself and find, where have I failed? What have I done to enable this situation? Because I tell you right now, 99% of male problems are opt-in problems. What do I mean by that? I mean, at some point, if you go back far enough in that chain of misery that you're complaining about with MGTOW 4 2069, you will see a point where you decided something that opted you into all the misery that comes after. Understanding those moments and not making them again is like one of the biggest red pill things you can do. So in his case, he had 6. not taking responsibility for the finances in the first place, dumping that responsibility on my spouse, not checking in, overseeing, or supervising my spouse's handling of money. And although I already knew she had alcohol issues, I didn't pay attention to how much of a problem it was and how much it had grown, jeopardizing my children's college fund and their future, and jeopardizing my financial future and retirement. So again, gain control of the Treasury. Remember that when you're like, yeah, this guy online, the kickboxing twins, they say they're max provisioning, whatever. Look at those guys. Do they seem particularly financially savvy? Do you think they have a very good accountant? Do you think their tax profile in Romania matters? Like, no. This guy here, multi-millionaire, making fat stacks, has all the stuff. Same problems, man. And this is the problem from a guy with like multi-millionaire problems. But when you read this, you probably thought, dude, he sounds like me. He sounds like the guy earning $70,000 a year. He sounds like the guy in the modest home, in the modest neighborhood, in the modest town. No, man. These problems matter. Doesn't matter if you're a millionaire or a billionaire or a thousandaire or broke with a mattress on the floor. It's all about leadership, control, deliberate action, and the inability to be swayed by a girl crying or getting mad. You just don't trust them. I mean, trust them. But trust that she's going to be her more than you trust her. Does that make sense? Run a full background check and look, recipe guy. Look, man. Okay. Here's another thing. Every red pill space, whether it was the old pickup spaces, the red pill spaces, the black pill spaces, whatever, have a similar problem. Somebody will give you a functional piece of actionable advice. And what happens is other people want to chime. I want to be part of this. I want to be part of this, which is great. But they don't have their own experiences to chime in. So what they do is, I mean, he says it's what he does, but I don't buy it. It's like, well, let's just do this and let's add more to it. Let's dial it up to 12. So we get, and this is how you get so many stupid MGTOW things. You start with something simple, gaining control of the finances in your home to prevent you from fiscal disaster. Now it's like, well, you got to run a background check with a PI on your woman. You got to have a spy following her around, put a GPS tracker in your car, and then you just escalate the tism on this shit until you're in this completely improbable space. And nobody ever tries any of it either. That's the worst part. And Salt Daddy, see, he gets it. The whole point of these boundaries is so you don't need a PI. I'll tell you right now, I'm actually going to make, it's a little off topic, but we're going to do it. Where's my timestamp? We're going to talk about GPS trackers. Funny enough, there was a time in the red pill, probably about a 6-month period. Wine More Please can vouch me on this one. There was a time when guys were talking about, I'm not sure if my wife is cheating on me. And so they hired PIs. They use GPS trackers. I know Donovan Sharp, he's always on here talking about how he hooks up a tracker to his girl's car and shit like that, or his wife's car or whatever. Here's the result of those in the red pill. So guys were doing that. I remember this one guy specifically, which is absolutely hilarious because he was deployed. He hired a PI to spy on his wife, and his wife was like gone without a trace. He's like, I know she's out fucking. You know what it ended up being? The PI came back to him. It's like, yeah, she went golfing. She went and sat in a coffee shop for like 5 hours or whatever. She wasn't cheating on him. She just was so sick and tired of his bullshit that she just hid from him throughout the day, which I found was so much worse. So much worse. But here's the point, is that you get paranoid. Because there's nothing that's ever going to be good enough. When you have this suspicion, you're like, okay, I'll put a GPS tracker in your car. Then the GPS shows she drives to this spot and then drives home. You're like, okay, but she probably parked the car there, got in the other guy's car, drove off to this thing. But you see what I mean? All that evidence isn't good enough. All right, so I'll hire a PI. The PI goes, he finds some things like, yeah, but what if he's not good at his job? What if he missed it? And you find out you're in this paranoid spiral. And you're in your wife's frame that you're basically looking, and the only thing you're ever going to see that's going to be okay is if she like walks up to you, says, hi, I'm having sex with your brother. He's right here with the signed affidavit saying he's about to have sex with me, and then you have to watch it in front of him. Anything short of that isn't going to be good enough. So you keep moving those goalposts. Here's a better option. And this is kind of what we concluded in our married red pill time. If you're at a point where you're concerned about your wife doing this, that, or the other thing, you think she's maybe sneaking around, whatever, there is something she has done to get your spidey sense going. So even if she isn't cheating, the fact that she was so unconcerned about you that she's willing to look like that means there's an issue to deal with. Assume she's cheating, move forward. What would you do if she was cheating? Well, I'd probably leave her ass. Well, get started on that. Why do you need her permission first? It's like, what do you mean? Well, if you're looking for evidence, you're trying to find something to blame. I didn't want to leave you, babe. I didn't want to divorce you. I didn't want to dump your ass, but the photos don't lie. It's like, dude, take some responsibility. If you don't want to be with her, if you don't trust her, why are you there? Well, I don't want to leave her. Well, then act like you don't want to leave her. But I think she's cheating on me. So why are you willing to put up with that crap? Do you see what I mean? It always circles back to you, and there's always a problem with you to deal with there. It could be you're extremely codependent, and that a girl can treat you like absolute crap and you're willing to stick around. In that case, there's your problem to work on. Yeah, but she's cheating on me. Well, she'll still cheat on you. But at least when you sort this out and you leave her finally, the next girl won't be the exact same thing. And oh, they will be. They will. They always are. I am Steve McQueen, one of my least favorite married red pill guys. Ditched his wife 6 weeks into his red-pilled awakening. I got this, guys. Are like, I don't know, man. She's like a good sparring partner. You can work on all your unattractive shit because she didn't come out of that way in a vacuum. No. Fuck the bitch. I got it. Went out, left her, did his own thing, got a new girl. Talking about how great it was. Dude, she's nothing like my ex-wife. She's not a bitch at all. She's great. It's perfect. Like, all right, you got it, bro. 6 weeks later, he's like, hey, this chick's doing the same shit my ex-wife did. Why are they all like this? It's like, I don't know. Maybe there's some dumb shit you do that encourages your girls to act a certain way, which screws you over. Seems like the kind of thing you could have worked on. And then he's like, screw you guys. You just don't understand. And he left. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Doug Chisholm, thank you for the, $49.99 super chat, sir. Thank you for all the content, dude. Thank you for listening. Like I said, it's a two-way street. Listen, I talk, we swap notes together. Zero tism. We don't put up with nonsense in the chat. I think it's like a great arrangement. I'm just happy to be a part of it. Let me see here. Oh, Christopher Zen too, $10 super chat. I met a guy on Discord this morning who said he's becoming a wedding planner. I said, well, you're going to starve to death. They're going down like currency or Lawrence Southern on a transformer. What the hell? A male wedding planner? I mean, fair enough. Whatever. So yeah, the GPS wedding tracker or the GPS tracker is absolute trash. This hunting down your girl, this hiring a PI stuff, it's just not worth it. I'm telling you right now. I know we think so, but here's the thing. When we talk about frame, like what do red pill guys when they mean when they talk about frame? Guys seem to equate that with like if you're winning in a situation. They think victory means frame, and that's not it. Frame is your worldview. It cannot be changed. It cannot be altered. Frame is the anchor from which you anchor all of your decisions based on anything that happens around you. That's why you're never gonna... Somebody who has frame doesn't say shit like, I had some frame and she whittled it down. My frame was weak and I did this. My frame this. Talking about it like it's a life bar. And you got whittled down and they did the right attacks. It's like, no. Frame isn't something you have. It's who you are. It doesn't matter what happens. You're always going to respond with the same frame. Now, your frame can change. That's true. But it's still your frame. Guy with frame doesn't put a GPS tracker in his wife's car. Not because he thinks that she's above cheating on him, but it's because he trusts his judgment. It's like, look, you may not catch your girl the first time she cheats on you, maybe the second time, but you eventually will. Every person is sloppy. Every person is lazy. You will find it. Same thing here with the finances. His frame was, my finances, I'm taking control of this. Nobody's going to be broke in my house. He didn't know about the lines of credit at the liquor stores. He didn't know about those 3 new lines of credit. He didn't know about her signing those other 2. But he set his entire situation up when those things happen. Well, closing them. Don't care. She can have excuses. It doesn't matter. I told you, I'm in charge. These things are closed. And I will find out about all of them. Because everything in his house was geared towards that singular focus. His worldview was gaining control of the Treasury. And you can apply that to everything in your life. Everything in your life. It could be your sex life. Weimer Please had a great one on this too. It's like, your goal isn't to fuck your wife. What? No, it's not. Your goal is to be more fuckable. What does that mean? Well, if you're in a dry spell, you guys haven't smashed in like a year. Wife has first crack at your libido, not sole custody. Go out and have sex. Well, I can't. That's cheating. It's like, well, denying you for a year is technically cheating. Martin Luther, famous Protestant Reformation man himself, said, if your wife says no to you, tell her not to. You tell her you're supposed to. You're supposed to be available. Does it the second time? Tell everybody in front of the church, hey, my wife's frigid. Does it a third time? Go fuck the maid. Look it up. Look it up. Martin Luther said that If she doesn't sleep with you 3 times, go sleep with the maid. And all the Christians tell me, no, you got to suffer through it. It's like, I don't know, man. So yeah, 50-50. It's not about fairness. But none of this is about fairness. It's like, dude, nobody cares about your situation other than you. So if you're not looking out for your best interests, nobody is. As much as you want to sacrifice yourself for the women you love. And here's the thing. Just because you love somebody and just because they love you and just because everybody wants the best for everybody else doesn't mean you have to be any less of a selfish asshole here. In fact, if anything, that's going to work out better if you are. Like the examples I already used. The 2008 housing crisis example. The guy there who didn't keep up with the Joneses and pay for everything, he's in a better position now when everybody else's marriage is falling apart. Gaining control of the Treasury. I mean, that wife still left, but the new wife, absolutely great, because he started it off from a rock solid foundation of you will not bankrupt this house. And she's happier for it. They're still together. Golden years. Arnie reference. Thomas is here asking about content management and house duties. Yes, I do, but we'll see. If we got time at the end of this one, I might add that on there. Remind me later. Throw it up on a super chat if you want so I don't lose it. Tendo Kanyike. That's a cool name. Thank you for the $2 super chat, sir. Along with a, the sticker. I like that one. Here with an arrow pointing down. I can deal with that. I'm going to pin that. I don't know why. Can I pin it? Oh, I can't. All right. My bad. Your validation is not a stay-at-home mom. Here's another one, too. This one's a bit... I mean, we kind of covered it over already, but we'll get there. Oh, wait. Before we do that, let's move on. Yeah.
Ian, not Ryan Stone. I think he's the most important guy in the world. Ryan Stone. Give a about Ryan Stone. Me and him have gone back and forth. Blah blah. Yeah. Ryan Stone does not pass the 6-foot test. He's not even a man. So I don't give a about Ryan Stone.
I don't know what it is, man. I've watched that thing like 100 times and I still laugh every time like it's the first time I've seen it. Your validation is not a stay-at-home mom. This is actually a little more fundamental about the male psyche. So the idea of being a provider, it's an old traditional male thing. It's actually an agrarian society thing, agricultural revolution. I am the provider. I'm the protector. I have this family and I will take care of them and I do everything. And that's a great way to look at things when you live in a society of scarcity. When you don't have cops that are minutes away. When there's muggers and bears and grapists and tigers and lions everywhere. And if your wife walks out on her own, she's going to get mauled or by at least 1 or 2 of them. So yeah, the guy is great there. And here's the thing, productivity. Productivity at the time was all about male effort. Like guys, work the farm, till the fields. It was a strong thing, a strong back, a strong arm. That's the only thing that worked. That was the measure of a man. And that's why girls are like, you need to marry a good man who either has land or can work land. That was it. Here's the thing, though. The Industrial Revolution, the discovery of oil, the internal combustion engine, it actually had a fundamental change on the sexual marketplace that nobody talks about, which is actually kind of infuriating because it's so important. The detachment of labor from productivity. Was that a barrel of oil is equivalent to about 20,000 man-hours of work. No guy can compete with that. No guy can. And so you end up with eventually where we are now with the information economy, right? Guys can run gun road courses, not a lot of effort. It turns out bringing home the bacon is now a commodity. Anybody can start selling something. He can be completely useless physically. He can be completely useless in every way that matters. But he can bring home the bacon. In fact, it is so easy that about 40% of women in households right now, today, are out-earning their husbands. They are the primary breadwinner in their household. So when all these guys are sitting here talking about my goal in life is to have my wife and retire her and become a stay-at-home mother and whatever, these are just unrealistic. Because the way things are moving right now is life is easier. And as life gets easier, weaker people are able to produce more. And as that works, the guys who lean on their strength, are earning less. 2008 crisis. Anybody who had a job in construction, it's gone. It hasn't come back in 20 years. The opiate epidemic is essentially a UBI for Midwestern mechanics and car workers and auto mechanics and factory guys. You get that. So, what do you do with this? Well, red pill's never about, well, just work harder, bro, and do more. It's like, dude, stop swimming against the current. Right now, like, obviously, I'm not saying don't earn, don't be productive. That's on you, how and which way you want to do it. It's not my place to tell you. I don't really care. But accepting the real possibility that you're going to be with a girl that earns more than you means that's going to cause problems. Why is it going to cause problems? Because you've attached your entire identity of being a man, of being a husband, of being a boyfriend, of being whatever on your ability to provide. And when she provides more, that's not just an attack on the family unit, it's an attack on your identity. And there's very few things that get guys to rage out more than when their identity is attacked. That's why everybody calls each other beta males and cucks right now, because you're trying to attack the guys on this core level of his identity. But here's the thing. Red Pill actually talked about this, I think it was Ian Ironwood, 2012. It's like a decade ago. Just remove economic input from, being a man. What are you if not your wallet and not your paycheck, right? And it turns out alpha bucks, beta bucks actually makes sense from a strategic standpoint. Being more attractive, being more social, being the luxury good in your house. I used soybeans as an example, actually. Soybeans are like the cheapest commodity that exists. You buy them by like the ton. It's like $2 a ton or something stupid like that, right? And most men who like being a provider with the stay-at-home mom, they're trying to present themselves as if they were soybean. And yes, I get the reference. They're being soy. But you're one of them fancy restaurateurs. You don't have soybeans. You have edamame. What's edamame? Well, it's just soybeans in a pod. They put salt on it. They put a little bit of soy sauce, maybe some lime. Put it on a table. You charge $10 a plate of edamame beans, and people love it. Like, it's the greatest thing. Girls go to Momofuku's. They sit down there, have some edamame with their friends. Their friends are, oh, wow, you got this? Oh, yes, I know. That's what you're aiming to be. You're aiming to take your commodity good, aka productive masculinity, and turn it into a luxury good. You're now, and this is the value. When you don't have to worry about where your next food product coming, where your next paycheck is coming from. What else do you worry about? Well, it's mostly social status. And yeah, you don't have to do this stuff, but if you want a girl and you want to keep her around, it's a good thing to do. It's almost like there's like a appeal to what somebody wants in order to get what you need from them. And you guys like sex, guys like companionship, guys like relationships. That's fine. If you don't want one, disregard. I don't really care. But if you do, appeal to the things that they want, not the things that you want to give them. It's the same thing as a girl. When a guy's talking about his paycheck and how much he earns, it's no different than a girl talking about, being a boss bitch. That's what I want out of a guy. I want some hardcore ball buster at work. It's a status thing. Instead, be feminine, be thin, be attractive, be pleasant. The only properties that matter when she walks through that door are women. I don't care what money you're making. We will handle that. I will gain control of the treasury. One of my really good friends has that situation with his wife. His wife out-earns him by a factor of 2, and he's earning like over $100,000 a year. So like, we're not talking small sums of money here. She just throws the paycheck into his account. There you go. Run the family. She's happy with that. But you know why? He's got his shit on lock. He's in shape. He's like the pillar of his community. Got all the social things. Other girls are attracted to him. Every now and then he gets a flirt from some random person in front of the wife and kids. And he's like, broads, am I right? Keeps everything good. Everybody's happy. Everything's good. And it's like, they're so annoyingly perfect. They look like the couple that you would buy a picture frame, and they're the family that's inside the picture frame before you put your own family in there. Jeez. Dark Knight Dev, $2 super chat. You're absolutely right, sir. Ian Ironwood, the housework issue. It'll probably cut to the issue better than I could on here for sure. So yeah, in this whole stay-at-home mom thing, what is it? Is that you're trying to build an identity. And the problem with identity is that you have to build it through work. You can't build it through intention and wish. It's actually the difference between a good, healthy narcissism, which is the male condition, and an unhealthy narcissism. It turns out healthy narcissism is like, things like irrational confidence, doing work, understanding the outcome of it, understanding your value, and acting as if like, delusions of grandeur minus the delusions. Unhealthy narcissism is where you pick the identity and then you try to convince everybody of it. You talk about how you're going to retire your wife and be a stay-at-home mom. Meanwhile, she can't leave her job because you don't earn enough. And you can't earn enough because it's hard to earn enough. Or maybe it's easy, but you just haven't done it yet, and it takes time. So when you start building the identity before you put the work in for it, you're just wasting your time. And so it turns out this stay-at-home mom thing is that guys need that as an archetype. Turns out they don't care about the girl. The girl's not a person. The girl is an archetype. You are the stay-at-home mom trademark. That means you need to wear stretch pants. That means you need to have the top bun in your hair. That means you need to have messy hair. It means you need to watch the kids. And what do the girls do? They're bored out of their mind. They're finger fucking their phone. They're ignoring the kids. Maybe they sleep around when some guy shows interest in them at Starbucks when they're sitting there getting their manicures and pedicures and spending you out of house and home. But you like the arrangement. It's good. I'm the earner and she's not the earner. Meanwhile, she's bored. She can't show you off because you're just the guy in work pants all day. And it's a 50-50 shot on that lasting. And even if it does last, people that are that bored tend not to have great sex lives. So of the 50% that stay together, maybe half of those are in abject misery anyway. So it's really like a 75-20% issue. And this is why I love shitting on like MGTOW and black pill guys, because they take the absolute wrong message from this. They think this means the juice isn't worth the squeeze. I'm like, shut up. It's not that the juice isn't worth the squeeze. You just got to adapt to a new circumstance. You can absolutely thrive in today's sexual marketplace. You can have a good relationship. You can have a sexually fulfilling relationship. You can have a girl that minds her weight, that stays healthy, that cooks meals. You can have a girl that earns money and it still doesn't degrade from your quality as a man. You just have to change certain things. You have to stop acting like it's the 1860s and you're working on a farm and your girl's taking care of like the kids and the cows in the back. Like how it's not hard, but you have to really shed a lot of what Rollo would call the blue-pilled delusions about it, right? Now, maybe you're just like, whatever, I just earned $1 million. I don't care. I don't need this stuff. Good for you, man. Sometimes strategies are not for you. You got it all figured out. You've earned enough money that this stuff doesn't apply to you. I don't care that guy, taught me some things that happened to him. He's just a boomer. He's old. Fine. Every millionaire turns 45, 50 one day. Every millionaire turns 60 and gets a second wife the other day. There's no reason to believe that it's going to be any different from you. No, I got this, bro. All right, Mr. 29-year-old, tell me more about how you got it all figured out. Yeah, why more please in the chat here too. I mean, can in the sense that it's possible. No, really can in the sense of reality, given how many overweight women exist today. And the vast majority of you guys suck. Everybody sucks. That's the thing. Everybody sucks. And as everybody sucks, it's very easy to point at the other and say, this is why it sucks. All these women are fat. All these guys are addicted to porn and ridiculous people. And you're all right. But that's the thing. You're just looking for somebody to hate. And if you want to find it on the internet, you will find it. I can go on to TikTok right now. I've got 60 more TikToks saved, ready for another live stream, showing the absolute worst of women. But here's the thing. Well-adjusted people aren't on TikTok bitching about their abject misery. If I don't want to find those people, I just don't look for them. But it's hard because that's all that's shown to you right now is the horriblest, worst people. I'm not saying that there's like everybody is great that's not on social media, because a lot of them just have stupid, shitty problems in their own private homes, right? But again, none of it matters. It's all how you react to it. It's all about your boundaries. It's all about taking the red pill and doing the thing. I'm going to switch gears here in a minute. And I'm actually going to talk about women. But before we do, Rich Cooper's advice, probably the best advice I've ever received from anybody, and I still use it to this day. Don't work with retards, and don't work with people who work with retards. Damn, that's good. It's crazy. I don't actually hear these ads, so I don't know what they say. High-earning career women are the easiest to charm. Deep down, they're always looking for a time when there was a carefree teenager. Oh yeah, they're stressed as fuck, dude. I live in the entertainment district in Toronto, which is right beside the financial district. My girl and I were both working in the financial district when we first got here, before I did this. And it was just amazing. Girls there earned a lot of money. They just drank it away and were really bored. And who'da thunk? You being interesting, you having your shit together, you willing to take all the stresses of home finances and then off somebody's hands is like a superpower. Oh my God, you can pay bills without getting stressed out? That's great. So how funny is that? So the next one, I got about another minute, so we'll shoot the shit here for a bit. Dark Knight Dev, regular to the channel, always appreciate you, sir. $5 super chat. No, sir, I will not talk about the cuck article. If you guys don't get that reference, that was, I always call them the $5 super chat career enders. Ever since that Jack Murphy guy showed up on the Sydney Watson podcast, and she'll just read anything. It's like Anchorman. Anything you put on that screen, she'll read. And it was like, ask Jack about the cuck article. He wrote an article about passing his girlfriend off on a Tinder date, and having her get plowed helped him get over his one-itis. Decent message, kind of like an extreme way to get about it. I kind of get it, but at the same time, he was so embarrassed by it that he started just yelling at her, just chewing her out on this conservative, podcast, yelling at the wee little girl. I was like, oh, dude, it's not a good look. Ended his career. So how funny is that? Do you think there's going to be a surge of soccer dads? I don't care. Mus, here's the thing, too. I try not to speculate too much. I know it's hard to believe, but every time I tell you guys stuff on this, it tends to be researched, thought out, planned. There's some evidence from behind the scenes that I got to it, because I'm not sitting here telling you I'm some kind of expert master of puppets with omnipotence. I'm literally just a guy who's taken like an obsessive interest in red pilled stuff. And I thought, why not show you guys what I've learned, save you all the trouble of having to scan through hundreds of thousands of guys' field reports and that for like 10-year period. So yeah, is there going to be a surge of soccer dads? Well, what's a surge? How many is a surge? Where are they going to be? Are they geographically positioned? Is it going to be just in the big cities? Is it just going to be just rural? Are these guys going to be attractive? Are they going to be fat? Like, there's so many variables about it that me giving an answer here would be completely useless. And here's the worst part of it, or the best part of it as you think about it. What do you do with that? Let's say there is a surge of soccer dads. What do you do to maximize your happiness, your sexual strategy, your relationship if there is a surge of soccer dads? Is there anything you can do? No? Then the fuck do I care? Who cares? Let them surge. Let them not surge. Dark Knight Dev, sir. $5 super chat. Actually, yeah, we're going to do that one before, so. Using the sidebar, how do you deal with shame and guilt from others and the wife about being a stay-at-home dad or lower income earners? Here's the thing. Shame and guilt are kind of two sides of the same coin. If I'm not, let me see if I get this right. I always get them mixed up. Guilt is internal. Shame is external. But they all provide the same attack vector. They're attacking whatever identity you have about yourself. And this is why frame is so important. As far as the sidebar question, I'll get to that in a second, but if you're fully red-pilled, if you understand things, if you have a solid frame, shame is irrelevant to you. Nobody can shame you. If you do something that hurts somebody's feelings and they try to say you're not a man from it and shame you into it, you did it as a conscious choice. If you screwed up, you know you screwed up and you're going to fix it. Either way, shame doesn't enter into the equation. You're completely irrelevant to it. Guilt, on the other hand, same thing. Because you have a strong, your own personal moral compass, your own personal ethical compass. You've decided what is and is not important in your life, and you will make trade-offs, and it will hurt some people. The other thing about being red pill is you have a more subjective view of morality. Objective facts, subjective morality. In this case, there's no such thing as being good or being evil. There's no such thing as a good boy or a bad boy. No such thing as an alpha male or a beta male. Just some things are good for some people, and some things are bad for others. And so you make the decisions that are good for the people that are good to you, and not necessarily bad to other people, but that doesn't really factor in. So in this case, like the shame and the guilt, that wife from Controlling the Assets from Fire Tempered Stuff gave him a blast of shit on this, cried a bunch, maybe even tried hitting him once or twice. It's like, who gives a fuck? He has a goal. He's going to meet it. She's going to try and shame him, saying you need to provide for the family, earn more money. Don't care. And that's the thing. Like, you know where the fucking door is. Like, in my own life, I don't have many arguments with the old lady. There's occasionally times where it gets heated, but she always knows when she crosses a line with me. And there's not many lines. I'm pretty easygoing. Hard to believe. But it's like, hey, if you want to go down that line, here's the fucking door. And you have to absolutely mean it. And I do mean it. There's very few things, and I'm not going to tell you, because you tell the internet what a guy's boundaries are, they're going to start pushing it. And I'm like, I don't want to deal with that crap. But yeah, if you don't care enough about it to burn shit down to the ground, then you just don't care enough, and you shouldn't even be a boundary. And by that standard, you understand. Boundaries are important. Boundaries are sacrosanct. Because yeah, this is important enough to me that I am willing to go as far as it takes to enforce this. Because, I've done it before and it wasn't worth it. Case in point, same with Fire Tempered's thing here about the Treasury. Dude, Doesn't matter what happens. She tries to take control of the finances. He will burn this shit down to the ground first. That's how important it is. And if you don't have that, you don't have a boundary. Now, as far as the sidebar, how do you deal with it? The easiest answer for that is, again, it's the most basic red-pilled tome you could ever read. Robert Glover's No More Mr. Nice Guy. Most of the shame, most of the nice guy behaviors you have, hiding the badness. If you don't know what that is, read the book. A lot of you guys have been red-pilled for like 3 years, never read No More Mr. Nice Guy. I don't know what to tell you. He's like more fundamental than Rollo at this point. He's like the quintessential book. If you only read one thing, red-pilled, in your entire life, if you go through No More Mr. Nice Guy, you'll be 80% of the way there and further than just about any other asshole you see online. Let's go out there and dance and have fun. Oh, look at you guys giving tips. That's nice. It's nice swapping notes. So here is the thing. Oh yeah, so with the shame, a lot of it is just, coming to terms with, and I think Assertive Bill of Rights from Manuel Smith's No More Mr. or When I Say No, I Feel Guilty is also a good one. Obviously, guilt. It's just giving you permission, essentially. Like, you're allowed to make decisions that piss people off. You're allowed to not make sense. You're allowed to change your mind, all these things. It's just an assertive Bill of Rights. And just by understanding that, shame and guilt no longer factor in. And if there's something they can attack you for that gives you guilt or shame, chances are it's because you know it's something you shouldn't be doing. And if you're red-pilled, you tend not to do those things that you know are going to provide you guilt or shame. And so they just never come up. That's the idea. Okay. So, promised you. Oh, I just realized I was going to pre-record this to save myself some hassle on the edits. All right, whatever. Her greatest fear is to end up like her mother. I love this. It kind of fits in here, but it kind of doesn't, so we're going to do it anyway. It was a lot of chicks were seeing the red pill guys talk about red pill things. They're swapping notes. They're having sex. They're having fun. They're like, hey, we can do this too. And they made their knitting circle, the red-pilled women, the red-pilled wives, the purple pill debate where everybody just likes to bicker and bitch and moan. And there was a question that came up like years ago, and it comes up like every 6 months, where a lot of guys are wondering, like, why are you the way you are? And it's funny because if you get a girl to talk long enough, they all kind of came back to the same anecdote about their life, is that Dad loved me. He treated me the greatest. I was the princess in his life. And he was okay to Mom too, but he loved me more. And Mom stayed home and she watched the kids, and Dad had to give her an allowance. And I swore to myself I would never be put in such a shameful position as to have my husband treat me like my dad treated my mom. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, what a fucked up thing to say. You had a great childhood. You had two parents that were both happy, and they end up in a situation, and then you turn that into like maybe it's like the same as like a guy's need to be different than his father, that rebellion, just girls have it in their fucking late 20s. I never want to end up like Mom. I never want to have a man in charge of me, and that's a trust issue, so I kind of get it too. A lot of men are trash, I'm sure. I mean, most men are shit. That's fine. So yeah, putting your financial future, hoping that you pick the right man, there's an insecurity about that. I'm going to pick a guy who's not going to be good because I'm going to pick the one that makes me tingle, not the one that helps me have a good life. And so the female strategy to that is, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to be the man in my life because I can trust me more than I can trust any man. Say what you will about the trust issues thing there. It's like, it's not irrational. It's also one of those things that she could be a good woman if she has a good man. She could not be a good woman if she has a good man. But you're never going to know because the guys that are bitching with her online aren't good men. They're not the guys that she wants. She wants the guy that makes her feel stupid for even thinking she couldn't trust a man. And I hate to say it, but if you're bitching at women online, it's not you. It's not you. So, her greatest fear is to end up like her mother. She never wants to be in that position. It was just one of those things. I know Rule Zero Dad actually had a great reference on that too, and I wish I could remember it, but I just can't. But that's relationships for you. You take all of these different disparate elements. You take women that don't want to end up like their mothers. You take guys that want to be validation seeking. Is it any wonder we're in the sad state of affairs we're in? Like, are we? Everybody is all messed up, and everybody's acting messed up towards each other. And here's the part I love about it, is that as a guy, you get your shit together. You make decisions that are in your best interest. You shed all of that nice guy, validation seeking, codependent behaviors, all those thoughts of equality, women are just as good as men, a man is only as good as his paycheck, all that crap. You throw away all of those, as Rollo would call them, blue pill delusions. And all you're left with is adaptation. How do I adapt to this current sexual marketplace? And here's the beauty of it too. Most guys are fairly similar. They want similar things. So talk to other guys. What did you do? Oh, I did this. I did that. Great red pill notes right there. Gain control of your treasury. Here's why it's important. Here's what I did. And here's how it's great. I look at it, I'm like, this is perfect. Except for in Canada, we don't really need the checks like that. It's not really a factor for us. But that's the thing. It's not tablets brought from the mouth. It's not him giving me the truth and the way and the Holy Spirit and all that shit. It's just him's like, here's what I did. Here's what worked for me. Good luck. I take it. I adapt it to my personal situation. It works for me. Hey, this is great. A couple more guys. Hey, I use this. I adapt it to my situation. It works great too. Then some other guy goes in, sees all 5 of us who have tried and replicated this thing. That's the key part, replicate, and it worked. So he'll wrap a theory around it, give it a nice narrative, a good story, and that's how you end up with the mental models. Yeah. I don't know if this is going to be a good one, but I added it in here. No is the most powerful world. I kind of already addressed it, but hey, we're at where we're at.
Single moms. A horrible position that's not my problem.
I got to come up with another one of those. There's so many talking points in there. So many different chapters. There's like 45 different points in the 15 chapters that I could make sections on. I just never got around to it. No is the most powerful word. It's just amazing. And here's the thing. A lot of guys don't like the word no because they don't have authority. No responsibility, no authority. I'm sure you've heard the thing, right? Here's why it matters. Not because of hard power. It's not like the guy has control of everything now and he gets to say no and be the end of it. It's a soft power thing. If you don't know the difference, I'll quickly go over it. Military was actually great to illustrate the concept to me. Soft power is the ability to influence. Hard power is the ability to dominate. Does that make sense? A cop tells you, get on the ground, put your hands behind your head. That's hard power. If you don't do that, he's allowed to shoot you and get away with it. Soft power is for more informal arrangements, a husband and a wife, boyfriend and girlfriend. In order to have that, they have to have something, or you have to have something they want, and they have to be more willing to be commanded by you. Not demanding, but commanded, than they are to go and do their own thing. In other words, being with you is more important than whatever bullshit that you have as your boundary. And this is where the power of no comes in. Here's why a lot of guys are afraid of saying no. And it goes all the way back to the very first question at 4 minutes and 30 seconds in this podcast, where a guy asked about getting over approach anxiety. Guys not being able to say no to their wives is the same problem that he has with approach anxiety. If I say no, then she will abandon me, and then I'll be left alone and lonely to die. And it makes no sense. Exactly. Because the same strategies I told you before. You've been raised your whole life to appeal to women, to seek validation from women, and it's not anybody's fault. It's just that's how women raise people. Because that's what they do, because they don't have any physical force behind it. And so they all teach you about the validation seeking stuff, and so that's what you default to. So when you say no to a girl and she gets mad, she cries, something like that, you may think of it as like, oh, whatever, she says no, what's she going to do? But your brain doesn't know the difference between that and a genuine, legitimate fight or flight response. It's not a bug, it's a feature, by the way. So here's the thing. Your instincts are all killing you. It's sexual diabetes. Sexual diabetes. With sexual diabetes, just like normal diabetes, our previous instincts are now officially killing us. Back in the day, we loved simple carbs because simple carbs gave us the energy to hunt, and the energy to hunt allowed us to eat meat and to survive and thrive and make cave babies. Great. But back in the day, you had to chew on a sugarcane root for like 30 minutes to get 100 calories. Nowadays, we process that all. And you can eat chocolate cake every meal, every day, all day, 6 times a day. You can get fat as hell. You get diabetes, you die. It turns out what used to be a life-saving instinct previously, something that we have in our DNA that we have to do, this is the only way to survive, and now it kills us. That's diabetes. These same validation-seeking behaviors are the sexual version of that. Yes, strong instincts. Be overprotective of women. Seek the respect of women, because you lived in small communities, and if the girls didn't like you, they wouldn't have slept with you. So rejection was like life or death. Yes, absolutely. Here's the thing. We're not in that life anymore, and our DNA needs a couple million years to catch up. So until then, we're stuck with what we got. So in the same way, you're able to go on a diet, even though you have that instinct for sugar and carbs. You can go on a sexual diet, get rid of that need for validation, get rid of all those unattractive behaviors you have. Is it instinctive? No, it's not, but that's why you practice. So no is the most powerful word. And I know a lot of guys that think, well, just say no. It's not that easy. Well, what can you do? To be fair, some of the easiest strategies are, follow it as a mental model. I hate to say it, but the authority of some dude on a forum who's got flair saying gain control of your treasury has some weight to it. It allows the guy, and I know I told you it's not good to have some external authority. It's like, oh, it's the photos, yeah. Just because it's not a good thing to do doesn't mean you can't use it for your own best interest. Here's the thing. Most sexual strategies for men in the red pill are actually female strategies adopted to male sensibilities. Dread, for example, is monkey branching for men. A certain way of looking at it. What about an all-meat diet? Billy, you're missing the point, man. The point wasn't about sugar or meat. The point was about our instincts. You guys will get lost in the details here. That's the problem. You got, turn the autism down. Dial it down to 8. We'll be fine. Yeah, people struggled with me saying no when they were accustomed to me saying yes. I struggled with the pushback. Now I'm better for it to work. Chisholm's got a great point here too, by the way. They struggle with it. And here's why it's actually difficult outside of just an instinctive need for love and validation. When you're in a social situation, it takes a lot of brain power to assess people, friend or foe, and what behaviors to expect. How can we predict their behavior? How do we be social? So your body takes shortcuts. And once they can define you as a certain type of person, it locks that into your brain. The fast thinking, slow thinking thing. It's now fast thinking. Oh, okay, Bill's just the nice guy. He'll give you the shirt off his back. As soon as Bill starts acting the least bit selfish, you'd think the reasonable response would be, oh, he's changed, so I'm going to adapt what I think of Bill. But that takes energy, and our brains aren't wired to spend energy. Our brains are wired to be lazy. Again, another version, social diabetes. It's easier to get mad at Bill and tell him to keep acting the way you're used to him acting. It takes less energy than it does to think differently of Bill now. And this is why for a lot of guys, when they start red pilling, they learn to say no. They learn why, 50-50 isn't the worst thing in life. It's hard. It's actually harder than it needs to be because it's always harder before it gets easier. Because you're not only having to fight now against your instincts to be unattractive and divorced and stupid. Now other people are distressed that you're acting differently. And so they need you to act the same. And so, yeah, this is why the training and the practice and the rigor and the consistency are important. I use a reference to my dog. Hitchens, great dog. He actually has the ability to jump and swipe things off the counter if they're too close. One day, I left a loaf of bread too close to the counter. He swiped it onto the floor, ate a whole loaf of bread, ended up in a food coma. I was like, damn it. Now, every time we go out to the park and we come home, he runs into the kitchen, jumps up and sees if he can swipe anything on the counter. That's all he does every time we go home. And 99 times out of 100, there's nothing there because we're very adamant about it. But every once in a while, I left I have some package there that's got, you could lick some salt off the side of it or something stupid like that. Oh, I left one of the English muffins up there. It's the paper towel has meat smell on it. And so he grabbed that. One time out of every 100. And that's all he needs to continue, jump, and check the counter every time he gets home. Unfortunately, that's how people work too. Bill always says yes. Always says yes. So the first time you say no, they get mad and they get angry and they push you 100 times, 200 times. You have to be consistent every one of those times. And eventually, one of two things happens. One, the person leaves, which is possible. Again, ex-addict bro is a guy I've talked about on here, had a pill popping problem. His wife had a drinking problem. He decided for his kids' sakes, I got to get better. He stopped it. The girl tried to shame him back into it, tried to get him back into it. He didn't. She ended up leaving him. And he's like, all right, you know what? I'm going to be sober, good for my kids. It's the only way it's going to work. And she doesn't have to stay, so it's what I have to accept. The other alternative is they get behind you, get with the program. And sometimes that's a main event. If you guys don't know, a main event is a red pill concept. It's like the mother of all comfort tests. It's somebody who, it's almost the equivalent of getting zeroed out, but in a positive way. I want to keep you. I don't know how to keep you. I'm losing my mind here. Please offer me some direction. Your brains are like, find a new way to adapt to this guy's personality. Help him out. Sometimes people just ease into it. Maybe they always wanted a guy to step up. Oh, wow, this is actually kind of nice when he's taking charge of the finances. I don't have to get stressed and think about this stuff anymore. That's the most likely thing. That's usually what happens. Nobody jumps off a moving train. And so if you got your shit together and you didn't have your shit together before, and you weren't, like up and down, very inconsistent before, so the person actually trusts this new change, they just get on board. Sounds good, man. Where's your dick? Let's get sucking. You can never be too pretty or too thin. So that's no is the most powerful word. So here is the final one. Your manosphere guru is an idiot. But before I get there, now a word from our sponsors. Oops. Wrong one.
One of the guys who ran the Red Pill channel sent me a message. I actually appreciate that you took it from an idea-based perspective instead of ever resorting to personal attack. Like, if this movement is actually going to be dangerous, do we need to understand it so that we can take it down? I knew going into it that this might be a hot mess. I'm not going to have those guys back on my channel again. Absolutely not.
Oh, that broad was funny. Your manosphere guru is an idiot. He is an idiot. They're all idiots. We're all idiots. Dude, the fact that I left a 6-figure job just because I hated traffic to do this, I'm an idiot. But here's the thing. Clary talks about this all the time, and it's great. Like, the best people here, he finds, are the ones that are here almost by accident. For me, it was just a layoff. I got laid off, and I'm like, well, I can get back in the office, but I got a 2-year war chest. Remember that thing I told you about before? I'm going to write a book. I got 2 years to kill, and if I can't get it done in a year, that gives me a year to go get back in the office, and that's fine. Sounds good. Did the job, did the YouTube, did the Patreon. Now here we are, and I'm sitting here bitching about women online. So, hey, it's your regular red-pilled success story. The episode is actually not good. It's from Savvy Writes Books is the author of that one, or of the content creator, and they have a podcast. I cannot remember the name, but it was me and Rollo and her talking about red pill, and it went fairly well. It was a bit asinine. The comments and the chat was just cancer between all of you guys. Dude, enough. Absolute cancer, and then afterwards they called us cultists, and I was like, all right, whatever. Boobs McPlain face. Anyways, where are we going about here? Oh yeah, your manosphere guru is an idiot. A lot of guys here, it's just they were brought in here like for dreams of, it's almost like an 80s movie. If you guys ever watched like 80s campy movies like Ski Patrol, Ski School, Police Academy, whatever, it's always like some down on their luck guys, and it's like, dude, I got this crazy plan that's going to earn us a lot of money and get us all the poon. And then they have a crazy scam, and then it ends up making them a thing. That's essentially like the manosphere funnel. That's how guys get into here. They're usually depressed. They're broke. They're almost always broke, by the way. They have some bullshit life. A lot of them were like pickup artists, but they did the John Anthony thing where they never did anything else with their life but pickup. So now they find themselves like, oh, geez, I'm 32 years old and I haven't done fuck all with my life. Maybe it's time to start. Oh, I know. I'll steal 5 rational male quotes, dial up the TISM to 12, and then sell some Gumroad courses. Sounds good. I'm ableist because I told a girl to get a job. Yeah, Chomsky, one of our neighbors have a dog that barks and he gets a little protective, so hopefully it doesn't ruin the podcast, but you know him. He does what he do. Where was I going with this? Oh, yeah, idiot. So you got to remember, a lot of these guys are stupid. And why am I talking about this again for like the 500th time? I blame Allie. I went on the Real Femme Sapien thing. Clary and I went on there. Like, we're going to save women. I'm like, all right, we'll do our best. And it was a good enough podcast. And then she put up a couple clips from the thing. Like my one on how notch count doesn't matter. And it doesn't. Because it's kind of avoiding the core issue. But a lot of guys didn't even get that far into it. Or the other ones. And I just realized, like, most of the guys that binge watch Manosphere content, it's not even that they're wrong. It's they're worse off if they haven't seen anything at all. And it absolutely boggles the mind. Like, getting there, It's all just beta male this, beta male that. And I'm just thinking, why are you even in here? Like, why are you watching? And no offense to her, I like her. She's a fine person, ex-military, we're tight. But a bunch of guys sitting here watching a girl who wants to be a stay-at-home mom with an older husband talk with other women about how they can do the same thing. Why are you, a 23-year-old dude, sitting here binge-watching this, commenting on everything, and telling her the way things should be? That should let you know almost more than anything why you're a fucking idiot. And the guy who encouraged you to do this stuff is also an idiot. I saw this thing too. Donovan, do you know he's got Dev on there, and now they're doing like relationship TikTok things on YouTube, and I'm just like, holy jeez, dude. And they're just as cringe too. I don't know what it is about this need to whore your wife out for Instagram ass model points that the manosphere absolutely seems to love. I blame a certain kickboxing duo who's like, if you haven't cam whored your wife, then you don't understand white-itis. Oh yeah, you guys forgot about that one too, did you? Where he basically did the same thing Jack Murphy did with the cuck article. If you're not cam whoring your girlfriend, then you care too much. You have one-itis. I'm like, all right, fair enough. Allie thinks for some reason Ryan hates steaks. I don't even know what the fuck that one means. Clary pumps out 20 rage-filled videos a day. I can't keep up. Fair enough. Well, here's the thing, Ben, and this is why your guru is an idiot. Everybody talks about notch count because Rollo brought up a top-level point, a 10,000-foot sexual dynamics thing, understanding that we have an instinctive need for paternity. That's it. Notch count is a secondary signal of that because back in our, instinctive caveman-y days, we could never tell if it was paternity. The only way we knew for sure is if the girl was a virgin when we met her because the hymen was still there, right? That's it. And that's kind of how we were evolved. So when you see guys talking about notch counts, they just completely took that and just ran with it and dialed TISM up to 12. The issue was an instinctive need for paternity. But I've been telling you guys before, our instincts aren't necessarily helping us. Here's the thing. In this day and age, if you want to find a virgin wife, most people are getting married like in their late 20s because, in the information economy, you kind of have to finish high school, 4 years of school afterwards, get a job a couple years till you're financially situated. What kind of girl do you think you're going to find that's 25, 26 years old with a 0 notch count? I will tell you right now, psychologically distressed people. If you're a virgin, that's great. If you're a virgin at 30, not so good. There's some things that are missing in there. And it's usually like, the preachers and the priests telling you that sex is bad and evil and brainwashing you. And do you think you're honestly going to marry one of those virgin 25-year-olds and not have some psychological hangups that are just going to ruin your sex life? Dude, she didn't like sex from when she was 13 till she was 25. That's 12 years. What makes you think that all of a sudden, once you put a ring on it, she's going to turn into like a sexual beast for you? Like, I'm telling you right now, man. I wish you luck. And so when you hear guys bitching about notch counts, they just don't think through what the hell they're even talking about. Aside from that, you're never going to know. She's never going to tell you. Any girl worth her salt will lie the fuck out of it. And I don't blame them. You get a girl that's got 5. Let's say she had 5 guys, 4 boyfriends, and it's like 5 years in, whatever. She tells a guy 5 and he doesn't want her anymore. Oh, you're such a whore. I'm out of here. So the next guy, how much sex have you had? She's like 1. Why are you saying that? Because he didn't act like a fucking tard afterwards. Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. I really should stop with the cussing. It's probably going to ruin my ultimate growth here. Yeah, so once you're a virgin past a certain point, and she's never going to tell you the truth anyway, and ultimately, the issue was paternity. Wasn't that what you guys said? Oh, the guy needs assurances of paternity. There's tests you can do now. Heck, there's a simple test too. It's called a blood test. Turns out there's A and B rotogens and positive and negative rotogens. And if you have a couple that are both like A positive blood, and A positive blood, and then you have a kid, and the kid comes out with AB negative, do the math. Doesn't happen. But, I mean, a lot of guys who have never slept with a woman, or maybe they haven't done it enough and they're not happy with it and they're looking for a wife, some idiot online tells you notches matter. You need a 50 notch count. If she has more than 5, she belongs in the streets. And you're actually going to listen to this guy tell you how to carve your own life out? Like, dude, we've been talking about frame since the start. And you're going to let some idiot, some 29-year-old ranting about his White Claw masculinity telling you, oh yeah, you need a girl that's got this and that. Trust me. It's like, dude, aren't you single? Didn't you tell girls on Instagram they need to blow you to get on your podcast? Like, why am I taking your advice on how to structure a family unit? Like, really? guys are idiots. Yeah, you might challenge me to a boxing match because I called you out on the bullshit, but I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. Jesse Darius M is my guru. Yeah, the semen retention guy. You're going to get a bunch of guys that don't have a sex life, they don't have a marriage, they don't have a relationship, they have nothing. They don't have a family, telling you need to do semen retention. Like, just, it's plainly stupid. And I get it, because the out group, you know, those angry feminists, they make fun of this shit too. They make fun of the manosphere guys and their gullible masculinity, and they're insecure about this, and they think they should earn money, and they want girls back in the kitchen, and the semen retention's ridiculous. And you're like, oh, those feminists are assholes, so I'm gonna stand beside my tribe. It's like, you don't have to, man. You got children yelling with morons, and you're thinking, well, I'd rather be a moron than a child. It's like, fill your boots, sir. It's perfectly acceptable that you can just call everything that's stupid, stupid, and everything that's not stupid, stupid. And that's not stupid, not stupid. You know what I mean? Like, here's the benefit to you. You guys remember that kayfabe episode I did? I've done a podcast on it. I did a video on it. Go check it out. I basically show you how pro wrestling would have trained you for the sexual marketplace. It's a great video. When you're willing to be tribal as opposed to effective, you're essentially doing kayfabe. Doctors, great example for this. A doctor is a professional, but if you start if you found out how much malpractice doctors have done, like how many times they've screwed up and it's cost people's lives, it's insane. But you bring that up in a medical discussion. If you doubt me, talk to somebody about COVID. Talk to a doctor about COVID. They will all circle the wagons. Nope. Medical profession is above reproach. Now, on the other hand, you get like computer programmers. Computer programmers are just vicious to each other. If somebody's an idiot, you will call him an idiot. If somebody can't do his job, he calls you out on your job. Here's the problem. From a perceptive status, doctors look like, oh, wow, these are high-status individuals. They are focused on the status, on that narrative. Whisper has a great one on it, too, where he talks about Navy SEALs. What is a Navy SEAL? A Navy SEAL is light infantry with extra training, a lot of gear, a lot of cool gear. That's it. They're not some, but then the way they talk about their kayfabe of it, they're like warrior priests. You know, they can be, you can't drown them. Their body just works different. They're like X-Men. That's the kayfabe. That's the narrative. And so when you buy into this us versus them, we got to take those feminists down. No, this is semen retention. These are my guys. And you're buying into that. You're no different than those guys. And that's the problem, is that you're replacing one form of kayfabe for an unattractive, lame version of another one. Now, I don't care if you want to be tribal, that's your business. But I would strongly suggest pick a tribe that's winning right now. Like, if you really have to indulge in kayfabe, start throwing up some pride shit and telling more about the Ukraine and how great that is. At least those guys are making bank. You could be a diversity coach, make $100,000 a year selling diversity and telling all the kids to take blockers. Just go, just win. Whatever. Oh boy. We got another one, huh? I'd say high notch count is a sign of ignorance. Attempting to validate oneself through sex is kind of sad. Well, see, and I think Chesty's right to call you on that one. You're making assumptions there. Notch count's just a sign of having sex. That's it. There may be some underlying things, but you can't just look at the notch count by itself. You could look at a girl, virgin, got married at 18, got divorced at 25, slept with 10 guys afterwards to get it out of her system, her fear of missing out. Now she's 30 years old, 11 notch count. You get another girl, has a boyfriend, 1 year, sleeps with them, breaks up with them. Another boyfriend, 1 year, breaks up with them. No one night stands. 30 years old, both those girls have an 11 notch count. You mean to tell me you're going to find the exact same girl in both of those girls? Absolutely not. It's not about the notch. It's about what the notch represents. And you're never going to find out what the notch count is. So the only way you can find out what it represents is by looking. Just observe her behavior, her actions. That girl that was a virgin when she got married, got divorced, and grabbed 10 dicks on her, she's probably got that look. The look that, yeah, this variety thing is nice. I'm going to ride it out, and I don't want a man telling me what to do. That girl who's had 10 monogamous relationships for a year each, for 10 years, and has the same notch count, she's probably extremely loyal to her boyfriend. You know, they may break up after a year for whatever reason. Maybe it's because the guy won't commit. Can you blame a girl for that? Maybe it's because she doesn't want to commit. Well, I mean, you can blame a girl for that. So again, if you just looked at notch count, you would have these two completely different women. And I'll tell you right now, the serial monogamist is probably better off for you than the chick who used to be a prude and then turned into a whore. But whatever. Wayne Smith, I was a sailor. I planted seed around the earth. I have 6 kids, married 22 years, divorced her. What was your MOS ID there, Wayne? I'm curious. Are you a bosun? Let us know in the chat. In fact, let us know in the chat, or I'm going to give Chesty permission to do what he wants to do. So your manosphere guru is an idiot. And I could probably go on. It's already like 1:45. I probably would, but I'm like, I don't know how many people I want to call idiots at this point. They're either whoring their women out on Instagram or OnlyFans or whatever. They're whoring themselves out. They're just saying the dumbest shit because as an audience, not you guys, but like the audience that I'm shitting on, they have shitty ideas because they don't fuck and they don't know what they're talking about. But somebody said something and it sounded good, and so they played the telephone game with it. And then somebody's like, I'll take what you just said and I'll dial it up because now it's cooler. Now it's hyperbolic. And then you end up with the craziest shit ever. That's where you get guys talking about, you know, women can save DNA from previous partners. So if you have a multiple notch count, she's going to have somebody else, like she's going to proactively cuck you or something like that. It's like, dude, you took one fruit fly article that said the bugs have multiple DNA in them, and then you extrapolated it on any girl with a notch count's going to basically come out with like kids with curly hair, no matter what happens. Oh, look at you. Bosun. It explains, the dragging knuckles actually explains it, Wayne. I didn't know you guys had aviation bosons, though. That's kind of cool. Or bosun's mate, technically. It's funny, in Canada, the bosun's mate is like our chief bosun. That's what his name is. Anyway. So yeah, they're an idiot. So take from, look back at the last hour and a bit. What did we learn from this? Most people are stupid. Most of their advice is bad. Things that have been replicated are good, but it's hard to tell the difference. The only way you can tell the difference is through experience. Beating approach anxiety is just a matter of understanding why you have it and then training yourself not to worry about it. Don't worry about the results, worry about the process. Therefore, you can bypass the anxiety until you get good at it, then it just doesn't happen. Splitting assets and finances 50-50 is not about fairness. It's about financial structuring of a family for maximum happiness for all. The Tate stuff, whatever. Gaining control of the Treasury, there was a simple red-pilled strategy right there on how to gain control of the finances in your house, especially when the people in there don't want to be led. GPS trackers, private eyes, all that shit following around your wife, it's not useful. It just makes you paranoid. It's not helpful. The idea of wanting a stay-at-home mom and you to be the primary breadwinner is a validation tactic. It's a lifestyle, wearing it as a skin suit, and it went the way of the dodo when the Industrial Revolution made it a not viable solution. Dealing with guilt and dealing with shame, again, from the sidebar perspective, there's some very good, useful tools for that. I'd suggest you get into them. For a lot of women, their greatest fear is they never want to end up like their mother, even though nothing was wrong about the situation. Chicks are just crazy. They don't have trust. I kind of understand it, but at the same time, none of this matters. If you're a good enough man, all of these rules go the way of the dodo. No is the most powerful word you will ever learn. You need to learn to use it. You need to learn to not feel bad about it. And if it makes people angry, well, is that boundary important enough that they're allowed to be angry, they're allowed to hate you, they're allowed to leave? If not, then it's not a good enough boundary, and you shouldn't have said no in the first place. Get a worldview together, build some frame, damn it. And then finally, most of the guys you're listening to online are fucking idiots. So I hope you enjoyed that one. And I guess we'll just spend the rest of the time banting. I'm going to call this the Bantz section. Short for banter. I think it's a 4chan thing. All right, so how you guys doing? Let's look at the chat. Flight deck handler. Oh, flight deck guy. Oh, okay. So we technically have that. We would just call them SWOD. Or no. SWOD was the secondary duty. That's sailing without an air debt. And then our bosons would handle that. But then when the air debt was on board, the avionics and aviation techs would handle it. So I kind of get it. So you're like a bosun, but you're specifically bosun for for us it'd be the Sea Kings. I don't know what they're flying now. And I guess Americans, you guys have aircraft carriers. You can fly all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Amen, Mish. A guy focused on a woman's notch count really tells you more about the guy. It does. And that's the thing. A lot of guys don't realize this, but when, there's hundreds of talking points. But usually an individual is always focused on one or two of them. And that kind of lets you know where his insecurities lie. Doug Chisholm, thank you, sir. $9.99 super chat. That's almost enough for me to talk about the cuck article twice. This old boat, this is the reason I follow you. Actionable advice and great insight. Hey, no, it's like I said, sir. You keep showing up. I'll keep running my mouth. I'm a professional. It's one of the things that I hate more than anything is like, I don't ever want to be that fucking guy. And so if that's good enough for you, then it's good enough for me. Rule 0. Oh, yeah, I think Rule 0 today is on Troy's channel. And we are talking about... The fuck was it? I'd have to go look. I can't remember. Just go on to Troy's channel. You'll find it there. I only care that she doesn't betray you while you're with her until she does. Yeah, see, now Going in Dry's got a good point here. That's your boundary. Don't betray me. What does that mean? Well, like, what ways do you want to be betrayed? Does she spend you out of house and home? Does she sleep with your brother? Like, whatever. It could be a rational or irrational reason, but if you're willing to own the consequences, nobody can tell you it's a bad reason. Ryan Stone, professional mouth runner. Ooh. Brett, I didn't know that. You were quick reaction force for embassy stuff? That's kind of cool. For us, quick reaction force was basically like firefighting stuff on a ship. I think that's the thing. On a ship, if you have to use a rifle or a pistol, then something has gone horribly wrong and you're probably already dead. So for us, it was mostly about putting out fires or rescuing people in the water. Ryan Chung, 250 things. I don't know what that is. Are you planning to do another book for the Sidebar series? I actually am. I'm underway. 3rd draft in right now to the book on Dread. It's been a little on the back burner lately, but my plan, if you notice, I did a lot of live streams a couple weeks back. I have about 30 episodes of stuff that I'm going to be recording and editing and putting out. And once I get that all out, it's going to buy me like a good 3 months where I don't have to make more videos on this channel. I can just walk away from it and it runs on its own. And then I'm just going to go hide at Starbucks for 3 months and then finish off the book and get it out. But it's essentially a book on dread, or the idea of what to do when you're in a failing or failed marriage, like horrible sex life kind of thing. We have one already, but it's not a good book. It's not up to date. It's got covert contracts in it, but it's the best we got so far. But, you know, typical me, I wish we had something better, so be the change you want to see. It's the Filipino peso. Well, that's good to know. Thank you very much, Dante. If Rolo shows up for Rule 0, I got a surprise for him. You know Rolo, he can't look at the chat. You guys are killing him. He's got to focus on what he's doing. He's mostly in there watching our private chat, so we're just swapping notes with each other. Oh, I think he means books in the sidebar. Oh, yeah, if you're talking about the sidebar series, the YouTube one, yeah, there's still a few more I have on there. I've just deprioritized it. Like, I want to get the book first and then finish that off. But there's going to be probably a dozen more specific posts that belong on the sidebar. You're right for the books. 48 Laws of Power, Tactical Guide to Women. I think the Red Queen might even be in there, so I got to get on that one too. So yeah. Wando, sir, €2 super chat. Passionate about not being a piece of shit. Exactly. Tom Canuck. Oh, thank you so much. $5 and 1 cent super chat, because we're not talking about the Cuck article. This was a great show today. I'm just glad you liked it. It's actually good practice too, because I was finding from the Minecraft, you guys know the second channel, Digital Ryan. We do Minecraft, we do Project Zomboid. It's fun, but it's actually great for like training. My video editing has gone up like a huge amount, and my audio stuff is working on it now. Like I noticed on my last one, my audio levels are too low, and I'm not very good at ducking properly. This podcast is the first time I've got to practice the new audio setup, and I think it's much better now. Like I can't, like right there, it won't clip anymore. It should sound fine, and it's all even levels. But hey, everything's about practice, right? That's why you have a second channel to experiment. Ryan, you better hurry up. My Dread book is coming out in September. Marty, if you finish it, I will plug it. I don't even care. I'm perfectly fine with that. Yeah, here you go. Support the better channel. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I'm going to pin that one. I think it's that good. Art of Seduction isn't on our sidebar. Here, you guys think, here's the other thing. When I tell you guys that I'm not just sitting here running my mouth about how great I am and all the shit that I know, like I really mean it. The sidebar is a thing. I didn't invent it. I have helped, like Practical Female Psychology was my contribution to it, but the sidebar is actually the sidebar readings. It was a list that's been curated over like a decade from all the Red Pill guys who have come before me, who have come after me, who were there when I was there. And it's got a specific list of stuff. Case in point, I've got the basics and the main stuff. No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover. Married Man's Sex Life Primer by author Athol K. When I Say No, I Feel Guilty by Manuel Smith. The Predatory Female, A Field Guide to Dating in the Marriage Divorce Industry by J.W. South. The Tactical Guide to Women by Dr. Sean Smith, which makes me laugh because he hates red pill. And he always makes fun of, well, if the girls are so fucking smart, why don't they know this? I'm like, dude, you're on the red pill sidebar. Your stuff is red pilled. Why are you so weird about it? The First Year of Rollo, which is actually his entire book isn't on the sidebar. His just first year of reading is. The Male Attraction Plan by Athol Kay. The 16 Commandments of Poon by Royce. The Book of Puck. And there's a bunch like the Way of the Superior Man, which I don't like and I'm not going to put on it. The 48 Laws of Power, Sex God Method. Then there's a bunch of like individual posts. So I Get It, No You Really Don't by Triadis 3, which is probably one of my favorite guys for another reason. That's for another day. The different blogs to check out, that's fine. But where is it? And then on the red pill side of things, let's get back to that. I should probably write this down because this subreddit will probably get removed at some point. They never seem to want to kill it, but they always try. And that's where we had Confessions of a Reformed Incel. That's where we had Michael's story, the misandry bubble, the manipulated man. There's a bunch of theory stuff that's specific to Rollo's first year, sexual utopia and power, which again, I've been talking to Whisper and them, and they're like, I don't think it really needs to be there. It was more so just some tradcon revenge fantasy shit. On value and the value of women, power talk. The red pill antibiotic nuke, which I've had on the sidebar too. Gender studies is nonsense. There's all kinds of like specifics on here, and we're maybe halfway through it on the series right now. Mish, thank you for the 10 Saudi Arabian ruples or whatever they call them. Can't buy memberships here. This sucks. I have added to the list of the things to do. I will add memberships here. I just don't have anything to offer in return for one. So what I'll probably do is add a membership for the channel and give it like the benefit. You'll get like a discount code for merch, like a really good one. You buy the merch basically at cost. We should pivot to become PUA accounts. You kind of already are. Like, in fairness, the trick to pick up is you have to actually pick up women and sleep with them. And you guys do. And how many times now? It always starts the same way. If you guys don't follow any of these guys on Twitter, I suggest it. It's worth it. Like, Nick August will sit there and say something, and some pick artists will start running their mouth on him. And then the T-Rex army descends upon him like jackals, calling out his incel nonsense. And it turns out a bunch of anonymous accounts are better at pickup than the professional pickup artists. It's nothing but a joy to watch. Well, I mean, you technically aren't because you actually do it. Oh yeah, Days of Game. Dude, I couldn't stand that guy. He's such a weirdo, but then yeah. And Weidmer Please and we both used to do pickup. So when you guys are talking about it, it's like you're talking about this like it's some esoteric thing. Most guys in their 30s and 40s were exposed to pickup or learned pickup or did pickup. So you're not going to be able to pull a fast one out with your 25-year-old ass, like whatever. The T-Rex can't jerk off. That's why they're always aggressive. Yeah, Misha's Twitter account, funny as fuck. If you guys don't want it, find it. It's like Chad of Arabia. You'll love it. Anyways, I got nothing else for you. This is the end of the episode. I think we've done enough banter. Hope you guys enjoyed yourself. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you liked it. 219 viewers. We're hitting some all-time high milestones, which is awesome. Thank you so much for the super chats. Especially, I think, was it Chisholm up above? Oh, it's already gone right now. Some of the guys super generous. Again, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Don't forget, we're going to Troy's channel. I'll see you guys there. Let's end it off on a good note. Is this the one? Yeah.